Hello world, it is Monday, September 19th, 2020, and looking out the window at Divines. It's a beautiful morning this morning. Didn't start out that way. I don't know if you heard the thunder rolling through maybe about 4 o'clock-ish in the morning. There were a couple of loud thunderclaps that woke me up, that I could hear around my house. But it's cleared up, and I think it's going to be a beautiful day today. The devotion for today is entitled God Gave, written by Kenneth L. Samuel. Kenneth bases the devotion on a portion of John 3:16, New Revised Standard Version. For God so loved the world that God gave. And then Kenneth writes, there's no better place to begin a consideration of what we should give to God than with an appreciation for what God has given to us. When God gave us Jesus, God didn't just give us the best that God has. God gave us all that God has and all that God is. According to John's Gospel, the motivation for God's gift was love. Where would we be today if God had only loved us without giving us a gift that tangibly expressed that love? The world is full of people who claim to love certain people, certain causes, certain institutions. But loving without giving tangibly is either insincere or irresponsible. A pastoral colleague of mine often jokes that if her church could be financed by prayers and well wishes alone, she'd never again have to worry about meeting her annual church budget. I always laugh when she says it, but we both know it's not a joke. When we consider what we should tangibly give to support the work of God, we should seek to be more aware of the tangible gifts of love that we have received. The God who provides for us is the God who provides through us. The magnitude of what God calls us to give should reflect our gratitude for the magnitude of what God has given us. The greatest giver of all deserves our very best gifts and our very best sacrifices. And Kenneth's prayer. Great giver, thank you for love that is tangible. A couple things that struck me as I was reading this devotion is the beginning when it talks about Jesus being a gift and all that God is. And for me, Jesus embodied the love of God. And as a follower of Jesus, we're called to do the same. It's not easy. I'm not going to say it's an easy thing to do, but we certainly are called to do that. And that's part of giving, is part of it's giving up those things that are not reflective of the love of God and giving the love of God in the situations we find ourselves in. The other thing this made me think of is maybe Kenneth's intent was to talk about financial gifts, but I don't think it was necessarily. Just tangible gifts, giving of one's self. And more importantly for me, actually giving of oneself in the sense that one's very life is the embodiment of God's love in the world. And that can be a great sacrifice in and of itself. So, yes, the church is involved, and the church should be involved in embodying God's love in the world and needs financial support from you all, but also physical support. But more importantly, physical representation of God's love, embodying God's love. That you learn and experience and encounter in the things at the church, and then take those things with you out into the world. I hope that gives you some things to think about, and I hope to talk to you again tomorrow.